everybody, and welcome to the RomanOva music channel. This video is an application of a previous video that I had done titled Interval Appreciation. That's right, we learn to appreciate the sounds of various intervals that I just grabbed out of my behind. But what we talk about in that video dovetails right into what we're going to talk about today, so if you haven't watched that video yet, make sure you go and do so now. An interval is simply the distance between two notes, and today we will be covering two very specific ones, two of the ones that are closest together, the major second and the minor second. Here's the major second, and here's the minor second. So we're going to be going over those in somewhat great detail. Now obviously I have a guitar in my hand, so I will be demonstrating a lot of these intervals on the guitar. However, I will be using a piano sound as well to supplement this, since this is more of an ear training episode than anything else. This is going to be used to really fine-tune that ear so that when you're in the grocery store, you can't help but hear all the minor and major seconds that come out of that stereo system. You're going to want to pay attention very closely to the sounds of these intervals because you're going to get quizzed at the very end of this video. So let's get into the first interval, the minor second. Here's what it sounds like on a guitar. Let's hear that one more time. And here's what it sounds like on a piano. Notice how these two notes are as close as you can get. A half step, one fret on the guitar, and one key on the piano. So one of the main points of learning intervals and learning how to hear them is by stacking them on top of each other and playing them together and playing them separately so that you can hear the individual notes that come through, and doing it in different octaves as well and in different positions, just learning the quality of that interval. So the minor second has a very, very distinct sound, alright? Almost sounds like a horror movie when you start playing it like that. Sounds like a Slipknot song, right? If anyone heard that off the self-titled album. But yeah, it just has a very tense and dramatic effect. Now there are ways to make the minor second sound good, but I'll have to cover that in a little more detail in a different video. Today we're just going to embrace how these sound alone, by themselves, isolated. So let's take a moment to hear these notes separated from one another. C and D flat. Just take a moment to sit down with that and play them separately. Almost sounds like the Jaws theme if you play it lower. In fact, it is the Jaws theme when you play it lower, so just watch out for those sharks in the shallow waters. Let's hear that same idea, but just on the notes E and F. A slightly higher register, but still the same exact idea. Don't let a note change shift what your ear is perceiving. It's still a minor second at the end of the day. That's almost like a carnival effect, right? Like a bunch of clowns are going to come out of the funhouse and stab you with an ice cream cone and only get you messy. We're not here for violence, okay? This is not a violent carnival. It's just one with clowns that look scary but only stab you with ice cream instead of actual knives, okay? That's all it is, alright? So that's a minor second for you. You can make it sound goofy, you can make it sound very tense, and you can also make it sound very dramatic, depending on which carnival you want to arrive at. Now, at the end of the day, it's very fun to think of this as being the Jaws theme, or as being some kind of killer clowns from outer space type of vibe, or a crazy carnival, but like I just said, at the end of the day, if you want to just hear this the way it's meant to be heard, simply hear it as a half step, right? You can even hear it as a resolution going upward. Play them together as well. So playing them separately, playing them together, and learning to hear it as simply being what it is. A half step. The major second is heard here. Okay, that's a C and a D, or a whole step is a little trickier to hear than the minor second. That's because it's not as dissonant. It's not as obvious as to what it is, right? It's still considered a dissonant interval, but it's not quite as dissonant as the minor second. On the flip side, it's also not considered a consonant interval either. It's kind of in between. You can ask different people. One might say it's consonant, the other might say it's dissonant, but it has a very vague sound and doesn't necessarily tell you what's going on. So it's not nearly as consonant as, say, a fourth or a fifth, which basically defines the term as being pleasing to the ear. This is not pleasing nor offensive, and I guess context is key in this situation. So let's hear that major second on the guitar, C and D as a major second. Let's hear that exact same thing on the keyboard. This interval is slightly further away than the minor second and is exactly a whole step away from our initial note. So there are a lot of different devices you can use to try and remember this interval. One of the biggest ones I use is chopsticks. Right, just that sound. It's also the Beatles' Helter Skelter. If you play a D and E, and then of course it goes down, but that first interval, the major second, think of it as the flat 7 of a blues progression, right? Or very popular song, Land of a Thousand Dances. And make sure you slow these down too. That's a whole step going down, back up to the root. Alright, so you got to do this kind of stuff to really remember it. Drill it into your head, you know what I'm saying? This interval also kind of sounds like teeth chattering. It always sounded like that to me. Alright, just make this face when you're playing it, and it kind of makes sense, like, or, In a harmonic context, this can also be used to resolve to different places. So let's say we have a C chord, right? And we have a D on the top. Well, that D, the major second, can be used to come down to the root, which is a nice resolution, so you can think of it like that. Or you can think of it going up to the third. Both are next door neighbors, a whole step away from each other, okay? And there's your major second in a harmonic context. Okay, so that's pretty much all you need to know for either of those intervals. Next step is to take some time with them and also pass this quiz that we're about to take. This short little quiz is going to consist of 6 intervals, major second or minor second. So you only have 2 choices, 50-50 shot, not too tough. Let's just listen to those intervals side by side first, and then we'll go into the actual exam. First we have the minor second or the half step, followed by the major second or the whole step. So first you're going to hear the interval together 3 times, and then separate 3 times. And then one more time played together. Then it's all up to you to decide what that interval is. And only after a few seconds the answer will be revealed. So you gotta be somewhat quick as well. Okay, let's start off with the first interval here. Alright, that's the first one. What do you think it is? If you guessed major second, you are absolutely correct. Number 2. This one's a little bit more dissonant than what we were used to in the first one. So if you guessed minor second, you're correct. Number 3. Sounds just as tense as the previous one. It's a minor second. Number 4. Little wider, major second. Number 5. A minor 2 is a minor 2. Last one, number 6. If you guessed minor second, you're incorrect. It's a major second. And guess what? You got one wrong. But if you didn't guess that and you guessed major second, then you're all good. And you're all good to go with this exercise as well. So I'm going to be making more of these for the other intervals, but you know, this is how you learn them. This is how ear training and your ear is developed. Over time, slowly, spending time with each of these intervals as if they were your children. Alright, that's how you get good at music. You have to spend as much time as these things as a major life event would require you to. Okay? So, hopefully you enjoyed this video and that quiz at the end. Hopefully it wasn't too much pressure for you. I know quizzes are kind of scary, and I like making scary quizzes with scary answers and scary stuff to scare you all day. Alright? So, I'm going to continue to make scary videos just like this one, and hopefully I'll see you around on the next one. Peace out.